thought to start an hour of the program. We are finite beings in an infinite universe, and we don't think about that enough. I know it sounds crazy, but bear with me a little bit. We don't think about the fact that the music of eternity is all around us and that we're part of it. We don't think about the fact that this universe is ancient, that it's billions of years old, that it exploded into being from an infinitesimally small point to get us where we are today. And look, I get it. We're all struggling to make it through our daily lives, but that music of eternity is always with us. It's with us when we're trying to make ends meet. It's with us when we're wondering how we're going to pay the rent or next week's electric bill. It's with us when we worry about getting a job. It's with us when we worry about retirement. It's with us when we worry because somebody we love has developed a cough and we don't know what it means. It's with us all the time, and yet we don't connect with it. That's why, on some level, I think it resonated with so many people when Bernie Sanders asked that question, are you willing to fight for somebody you don't know? You probably remember that. If you don't, that's the gist of it. He was giving a speech. He said he was willing to fight for people he didn't know, and he asked people in the audience, were they willing to do the same thing, fight for someone they don't know? And it became a viral moment, as well it should have. And that is our disconnectedness from the fact that we all come from the same original source, that we're all going to merge with that source again at some point. Maybe even the fact of our individuality is an illusion. There are certainly people who say that. So what happens to that feeling now that we're moving into an election year where neither candidate is likely to say something like, are you willing to fight for somebody you don't know? I mean, I would applaud it if Biden did, but I don't see it. Where do we go with that connectedness? And of all things, when I think about that, I think about the opposite of fighting for someone you don't know. Maybe that's the best way to get at this. There was a horror story that became a movie and then a Twilight Zone episode. And the theme of the story was this. It was by the great suspense writer Richard Matheson. But the version I like is the version he didn't like, because the ending he didn't like is the ending I like. And I'll explain why in a second. Matheson's story, which was originally published as Button, made it onto the remake of The Twilight Zone in 1985, okay? And the theme was this, that a couple that is struggling to make ends meet gets a visit from a man they don't know who gives them a box, and inside it is a button. And he says if they press the button, he will give them $200,000, which in today's, given inflation and everything in today's economy, about $500,000, almost $500,000. He says, they'll get this money and all they have to do is press the button. They ask, well, what'll happen when we press the button? The answer is somebody will die, but don't worry, it's somebody you don't know. So they go back and forth about this, and there's some drama, maybe a little misogyny in the episode in the way it's set up, but that's not what I'm driving at here. There's some back and forth, and in the end, the button gets pushed. And the guy comes back, the stranger, with $200,000, and he takes the button, he takes the box. And they ask the question, what happens now to the box? He says, well, I'm going to reprogram it, and then it will go to the next person. And they say, well, who's the next person? And the man says, don't worry, it's somebody you don't know. Okay, you get the point, right? That as long as there are people willing to kill a stranger in order to get ahead in life, and granted, these people had immediate needs, but if you're willing to kill somebody you never see in order to get ahead, there will always be somebody waiting to do the same to you. And the only way to stop that cycle is to build a society where nobody is willing to kill a stranger in order to get ahead for themselves. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Well, I would never do that. But the fact is, you and I do that. We do it every day in ways great and small in our lives when we make political decisions that say, well, Medicare for all isn't that important. We're ignoring the 45,000 deaths that take place every year because people don't have health insurance. When we say, well, that issue X is important, but it's not a hill I'm willing to fight a battle on. Well, issue X may cause the deaths of human beings. When we say, I want to buy these shoes or this jacket, even though it was maybe made in a sweatshop somewhere where people die in the course of their daily work, as so many people did when that factory collapsed in Bangladesh, you know what? We're kind of pushing a button where that kills other people. And I, by no means, claim to be above that. I know full well, because I've written about it, that the factories that Apple was using in China cut corners on safety. And as a result, workers burned to death manufacturing iPhones because Steve Jobs wanted them turned around quickly, but he wanted unbreakable glass. So I know that. And yet I bought an iPhone. I pushed the button. So I'm guilty just as you're guilty, which makes Bernie's rallying cry, are you willing to fight for somebody you don't know, so important, no matter whether or not he as an individual is a candidate or not. We have to be willing to stop pushing the millions of buttons we push in our daily lives. And I mean, at the risk of saying the obvious, the button metaphor is, kind of the economic order we've constructed for ourselves, right? It's something that says, if a person is not in my field of vision or I'm not aware of them, they don't really exist. What's the solution to all of this? How do we make ourselves the people who will fight for those we don't know? That, to me, is an expression of the phrase radical empathy or radical love, the idea that we are willing to upend the social order, the economic order, the political order, because we care that much about a stranger. This is not just abstract theorizing on my part. This is actually something that's going to, I believe, become a matter of life and death even more in the coming months, years, and decades as the world we knew morphs into something extremely different as a result of the pandemic and as the result of climate change. Real change is coming. We just have to work to make it change for the better.